All right. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to Main Event Fantasy. My name is Nick, as always, and here to hang out with you guys and draft some best ball mania teams tonight. So, um, if you hadn't heard the tragic news, and if anybody didn't hear, Ozzy Osbourne has passed away at the age of 76. An absolute legend. Whether you like that style of music or not, did a lot for the that style of music. So um, appreciate that. Sad day, but we're gonna take that news and we're gonna use it and draft tribute drafts, a couple of best ball mania drafts tonight, and we're going to win $2 million. That's what we're gonna do. So if you're just joining us and don't know what we're doing, this is Main Event Fantasy, but what we're doing is we're drafting on Underdog. And on Underdog Fantasy, these are best ball drafts. So what that means is you draft your teams, and there's no commitment, no work, no managing during the regular season. So you just draft them, and you're done. And the best players will play. So we're going to get into a couple of Best Ball Mania drafts tonight. So with Best Ball Mania, it's a $25 entry tournament. 672,000 entrants will be in. $2 million to first place. Weeks 1 through 14, 2 out of 12 in your pod will advance. Weeks 15, 1 out of 13. Weeks 16, 1 out of 16, and then 539 seat final. If you make it there, we'll fight for $2 million first place. But you can see second place is $1 million, third place $500,000, and so on. Some huge prizes to be won, even if you don't get the $2 million. So we're going to jump right in, get started, and see what moves we can make tonight and see how things play out for us. If you're joining us, you can click on my link down below in the description, and you'll see a link to jump into Underdog Fantasy, and you can make yourself an account there, and then you can draft with us. We do try and draft live every night around this time, 10 o'clock Central Time, and would love to draft with you. If not, jump to the chat and interact with us. Give us your thoughts. Ask any questions you have. Happy to help. I've been doing this for a while, and I like to think that I've gotten pretty good at it. So if I can offer some suggestions, or anyone in here wants to share their thoughts on how we can take home $2 million, I'd love to hear it. So we'll see how this pans out. We did just finish up. The Puppy 2 closed out yesterday, and that was a $5 entry tournament. And so we're done with that. We didn't get, I think we got like 65 entries or something like that in the Puppy 2. All right, we have the wonderful pick 5 here. And if anyone is in here with us, just let us know in the chat, and we can see how things go. Yesterday, we talked a lot about best ball strategies. If you haven't seen that video, I definitely encourage you to check it out. We cover off going through what all the strategies in best ball typically are from a draft strategy standpoint. Went over a little bit of what worked in 2023 and what worked in 2024 and how things have changed. And then I did reveal some data on that, as well as my top 5 drafts for 2025, my top 5 draft strategies, that is. So check that out and let us know what you're focused on this year. What is your draft strategy? Speaking of strategy, I'm feeling good tonight. I feel really, really good. I feel like this is the night we're winning $2 million. We got Mantis here right in front of us. And Mantis is going to go, I'm going to say Saquon. Nope, he goes Gibbs. So we got Saquon or CeeDee Lamb. I'm going to go ahead and grab my guy Saquon. So we know Saquon Barkley, when we get him, he is a premium running back. If you've looked at my number one draft strategy for this year, it is hero RB, meaning getting a first couple rounds, getting a running back, and then smashing wide receivers for the next few rounds, to anchor our team, so to speak. And when you get a guy like Saquon Barkley, if he produces anywhere near like he did last year, he could absolutely be the guy you need. Now, some people believe in the Madden curse. He's now on the Madden cover, and they're just not drafting him. I will say this. If you compare, and I'm going to do this for you real quick, I'm going to compare Saquon Barkley and Jahmyr Gibbs, since Gibbs normally goes around pick 6 or so, and Barkley's usually going between picks 2 and 4. Last year, Gibbs finished as the number 1 ranked running back in PPR points. Saquon Barkley finished number 2. So neck and neck. One key factor that I think people overlook about Gibbs, and they think because you got David Montgomery there, it could be an issue, and they're going to take snaps from him, etc. And I know he did miss time last year, but one stat that I found really interesting when I took a look at it is Saquon Barkley had a snap percentage over the last season of 76% of the snaps were seen he was on the field. Jahmyr Gibbs, he was only on the field 56% of the time of the snaps, and that's best for 28th in the league, and he still managed to finish first in overall points. So if that tells you nothing at all about if you should be drafting Jahmyr Gibbs in round 1, which I'm sure most people already understand that, you should have zero fear taking him whenever he's in round 1. If he even, gets a little bit more snaps and has that kind of efficiency, I mean, he could be an absolute, crusher. We're going to get Ladd McConkey falling to us here. A little bit of value. Normally goes close to here. Pair him up, and we'll have a Saquon Barkley, Ladd McConkey start. Yeah, so I'm in on Gibbs. I don't have a ton of him yet, but I like to get him when I get there. I usually get picks 1 through 4, and lately I've been getting some back half of the drafts, but I'm not getting as many of pick 5, 6, 7. And a lot of times, if you get 7, even Gibbs is gone between picks 5 and 6. So it just really comes down to where do you draft. It's not like I'm avoiding him by any means. So we'll see what comes around to us here tonight. Tyreek at 23. Jamar Chase drafter takes T. Higgins as well. That's pretty common. When you're doing a Best Ball Mania tournament, if you're going to draft a lot of teams, when there's 672,000 teams, sometimes you got to get a little unique. Because if you think about it, and he actually took Chase Brown, so he's going full Cincinnati onslaught right now, which it can work, but you got to be careful because you got to realize that there are probably a ton of Jamar Chase, T. Higgins teams, or Jamar Chase and Chase Brown teams, or T. Higgins, Chase Brown teams. There's a ton of them because it's so easy to get. So you have to be a little bit cautious about getting too much of a good thing. You want to definitely have some of that, but you just want to be a little bit careful. And I certainly do. Devontae Adams goes. So we're going to grab our man Garrett Wilson here. Goes normally ADP around 28, and we're getting him 29. So kind of right at ADP to be our second wide receiver. I do like Garrett Wilson. I think he's going to do well this year. But it's going to be a little bit dependent on, how much they want to run the ball. It'll be interesting. I mean, but who else are you throwing to? So I think even if they don't have a high passing volume, he's talented enough to perform well. And I think they're going to play from behind. So they're going to need to throw the ball. They can't just run all day. So I think they're going to have to feed him pretty good. And he's the kind of guy who wants to be fed. So let's actually take a look real quick at Garrett Wilson and see, just to give you guys a little bit of stats on him for last season. So last season, he did have 3 top 5 finishes. That was weeks 5, 6, and 9. Otherwise, I mean, his snap share was, 97% plus. Like, he's on the field for every play. But would love to see his yards per route run get a little bit better. I mean, every game he's getting 8 to 11 targets almost always. I think it just comes down to how efficient are those targets. He did finish as the wide receiver 10 last year overall. And you got to figure when you're a guy that's getting 97% of the snaps, with 154 targets, if they can be a little more efficient, he could be a top 5 wide receiver if they can be a little more efficient in the passing game. And where he goes in drafts, I mean, he's going as, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. He's going as like wide receiver 14, 15. So he can easily pay off his ADP, even if he just does what he did last year. That would theoretically have him as a, round 2 running back. And we're getting him here in round 3. So the value is good to get him there. And I like his upside. So I'm definitely going to get some of him. Draft board's coming around. Kyron goes at 39. Jalen Hurts at 40. He paired him up with A.J. Brown. That always works out pretty well. Kittle goes at 41. And Williams goes. So we are going to get another share of Tet McMillan. I've definitely gotten a pretty good amount of him already. If you took a look at our wide receiver video where I kind of talked about my we'll call it my guys, the guys that I'm in on this year. And then I went in and showed what oh my gosh, I can't talk, what my exposures are already for the season. How much of a player do I have through over 350 drafts already? And Tet McMillan is definitely overweight drafted for me, and I'm perfectly happy with that. Getting him as a 3rd wide receiver, a lot of upside. I like it. If you're not sure, if you guys do draft a lot of teams, I will say this: when you go to start looking at exposures and you want to balance yourself out, people have different takes on that. Some people say they pick a few guys and they go, I'm going to be all in. I'm going to be 30% this guy, 40% this guy. You can do that. I do not like to do that earlier in the drafts. I don't mind being overweight. And just so you know, overweight means anything over 8%. 8% is average of a guy. If you get into 10 to 15%, that's usually a good place to be. If you've got a guy that you're really going after, be about 15%, and you're kind of covering your bases there. All right, Travis Hunter goes. We could get a share here of Kenneth Walker. I mean, I like a lot of these guys. I think we'll do that. So if we get Kenneth Walker here, he's really the only running back I like in this area of the draft. And, so we kind of look at our build here. We started with more of an anchor RB strategy, then we went towards that wide receiver avalanche. And we could have stayed there. I would have been happy with Zay Flowers. I would have been happy with Jalen Waddle. Y'all know I'm in on Waddle. So either one of those guys would have been fine. But I do want to get a little bit more Kenneth Walker in my portfolio for Best Ball Mania. I do think he's a guy that where he goes could really pay off. He, could be very valuable. I will pull up for myself here and kind of go over with you guys, some of the Kenneth Walker stats, so to speak, and you can get an idea of what he's been doing. Last year, he had one top 5 finish in week 2. He had 2 more rank 9s and 1 rank 11. He did have a little bit of where he missed some time, missed some games, and he did split work with our friend down there, who we like also in Seattle. So his snap percentage is only 55 to 64% over the last 3 years, and he still always finished 18, 19, 27 last year. But when he was a little healthier, he was still finishing in the top 20. Depending on how Seattle does with their new look offense, they may run the ball a little bit more. They've lost some weapons, and maybe they want to run more. And so, hey, this might be this year he breaks out. Getting closer to contract time. He wants to try and get paid. So might be looking to put the ball in his hands a little more often and see what they can do. Caleb Johnson goes. All right, draft is starting to come around. I feel really, really good about our start. Joe Burrow goes at 66. And that really stinks for our guy in the first round. I mean, the one hole there. Let's go ahead and get a share of Jordan Addison here as our 4th wide receiver. So Joe Burrow goes to a guy who has already Josh Allen. Neither of them are stacked. It makes 0 sense whatsoever. So this is one of those situations where you've got talent on this draft. They did get some value because Drake London fell a little bit, but I don't like to draft this way. I think you're wasting your picks because you can only play one quarterback every week. You don't need 2 premium quarterbacks. And I'm sure our guy Zev there is fuming because he went out and took Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Chase Brown in the first round. And now he can't stack him with his quarterback. So the way I look at it is, unfortunately for him, it's not a dead team, but it's the chances of that team winning Best Ball Mania and winning $2 million really shrinks because he lost his stack when he went all in on Cincinnati and someone sniped his quarterback. But that's the game we play. So Pearsall, Myers, Pearsall, Godwin go. Reed goes. So we've got a little bit of options here. I like Pacheco. I'm okay with Diggs, Golden, Shakir, any of these guys. So I think I'm going to go Stephon Diggs, actually. And we'll get our 5th wide receiver. I really don't like to – I like Pacheco there. If we'd got another wide receiver instead of Walker, I probably would have went Pacheco instead. When you look at the 2v2 here, you kind of look at it and go, okay, what would I have done differently if let's say I took Zay Flowers or Jalen Waddle instead of Kenneth Walker? Then I would have got Isaiah Pacheco here. Would you rather have Isaiah Pacheco and Zay Flowers or Kenneth Walker, Stephon Diggs? These are the type of ways when you look at your draft that you can kind of think, did we make the right decision here? I think so. I think it opens us up with Stephon Diggs for, another quarterback option. We get a piece of Walker at a good price. And actually for me, I think I've talked about this before. Isaiah Pacheco is a guy I've got a lot of in the first half of we'll call it the drafting season back in May. And I was getting him 2, 3, 4 rounds later than where he's going now because he keeps moving up draft boards. And so I'm not as excited to get him where he's going in round 7, even though I think his value is fine, just because I've gotten shares of him much further down. I was watching earlier some clips from the last Ozzy Osbourne concert that was streaming for a couple of days, and it's what a great show. I don't know if anybody's into that, but man, it was a killer show. I still haven't seen it all. I don't know where I can find it to watch the whole thing from like beginning to end. I wish I could find it. I've searched, but only locating videos from people who were actually there. I'm not seeing like like a whole thing, but I'm looking forward to watching that when it gets released at some point, down the road. All right, draft come back to us. Mooney, Ibuka goes. So a couple of wide receivers. All right, and then Higgins goes. So a little bit of a wide receiver pull. Quarterbacks here: Mayfield, Murray. We don't have anybody that's really stacking right now, so we don't need to do that. So I think we go ahead and grab Brandon Ayuk here to be our 6th wide receiver, and we'll keep pushing some things down with Ayuk. I've talked about this. Ayuk as a 6th wide receiver, even if he misses and he's not quite recovered yet, misses the first 4, 5, 6 weeks even of the season, you've got enough depth here where you don't need him. And if he comes out healthy and crushes on a good offense, and that offense I've shared has San Francisco's got a light schedule this year, he could be a league winner. He could win us $2 million later on in the playoff weeks when we need him, when he gets healthy. So to Brandon Ayuk, I say, rest up, my friend, and we'll be looking to win $2 million on your back down the road here. All right, draft is coming around. I think what we're going to do here is we're going to look to pair up one of our stacks here. Ideally, Justin Fields is what I'd like to do with Garrett Wilson. Get the rushing upside of Justin Fields. And that's exactly how it's going to play out. So I'm interested to see, I think he's a risky pick, but when you think about where he's going in drafts, it feels just fine getting him in round 9 here where the quarterbacks all start to go. If he really does well and, this could be a great fit, pops off, continues to be able to use his legs, but also really can throw better and plays a whole season, he's got the talent level, at least from the running standpoint, of, a Jalen Hurts, a Jaden Daniels, Lamar, he's that kind of guy. So just if he goes off, then you're getting him at pick 101 in the 9th round when these other guys are going in the 3rd round and the 4th round. So, again, it's risky. And some people are avoiding him altogether, and that's fine. I think that's a little bit of a mistake. But we want to win $2 million. So if you're not willing to take a chance and go in and take a risk, then, you're probably not going to win $2 million. That's just how it works. Can't be afraid. My advice is always, every draft is a perfect draft because you got to draft like you're right. Draft like every move you make is the right decision. Unless, of course, you're the guy over here, what was his name, that drafted Josh Allen and Joe Burrow, Coach J. Hill. If your name's Coach J. Hill, then don't draft like him. He's not right. He doesn't get to draft like he's right. Drake May goes 111. See what's starting to come around to us here. We could use another running back. There's a couple available coming up. We could get into a tight end, if Evan Ingram falls. I mean, I'm not afraid to take another wide receiver because y'all know I like him, but I do think we probably need to grab a running back here. So I don't love Dobbins, but I do like the idea of getting a share of him. I don't want to be completely out on him. He showed some juice last year with the Chargers, and so if RJ Harvey is not quite as good as they thought, or he starts out hot again and is 1 year healthier, who knows? Maybe Dobbins is an absolute steal with where he goes. And when we say we have to draft like we're right, we're going to grab us a share of him. Coming back around, Charbonnet does go right after him. We don't need J.J. McCarthy because we don't have We don't have a Minnesota Viking to pair him with. Whoops. We can get Justin Herbert to pair up with Ladd McConkey. That might be a nice idea, and pair our top two wide receiver options with our quarterback. I think Herbert could throw a little more, possibly. And he definitely has the legs to run if he really wanted to. I'm not opposed to taking some of these guys here. So decisions. Man, it's a little bit tough. We could wait and get a Carolina piece, but that's kind of the last quarterback, and I do have a lot of him. So I'll go ahead and just pull the trigger on Herbert here, pair him up with Ladd McConkey. And so far through our draft at quarterback, we have Justin Fields and Justin Herbert. I guess the battle of the Justins going on. At running back, we have Saquon Barkley, Kenneth Walker, and J.K. Dobbins. At wide receiver, we have Ladd McConkey paired up with Herbert, Garrett Wilson paired up with Justin Fields, Tet McMillan, Jordan Addison, Stephon Diggs, and Brandon Ayuk. And then at tight end, we're just going to swing on a few tight ends a little bit later in this draft. If you're just joining or just watching the video, thanks for being here. I appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, click on the notification bell to let yourself know when we're going live. I would love for you guys to come in and draft with us. In the description down below, I do have a link to Underdog Fantasy, where you can come in and jump in and into some drafts with us. And I'd love for you to just come in and chat live, ask some questions if you have any, and just come in and have a good time. We do draft every night that we can, around 10 p.m. Central Time, between 10 and midnight, and we usually do 2 to 3 drafts a night, depending on what time we get on and how we're feeling. So we'd love to have you join. All right, the board is coming back around. Garendo goes at pick 135. We do need some more running backs. We could get into a tight end here. There's some good. I mean, I'm okay. This whole pocket here, I feel good about grabbing one of these guys, or multiple. Ray Davis goes. I think we'll go ahead and grab another share of Dalton Kincaid. I'm pretty overweight him. I just like where he goes, so I don't have a problem getting another piece of him here. Another option coming up is we could double stack Quentin Johnson, the big Q, with Justin Herbert and Ladd McConkey. I don't have a problem doing that. I like Rachaad White here. Could get another tight end piece, another shot at tight end. We'll see what comes back to us here. And then y'all know Cedric Tillman is still my favorite pick in this range. I do think he's going to absolutely crush. The only reason I would take Quentin Johnson over Cedric Tillman is when I have Justin Herbert for a stack, because then his value rises in terms of which way I want to go. All right. Rachaad White goes, Ferguson goes. So we kind of bled through those tight ends that were hanging around. We bled through the running backs that were hanging around that we were kind of looking at. So 2 picks to go. We're most likely going to get one of Quentin Johnson or Cedric Tillman. Blue goes, yeah. So we'll get one of these guys, whoever Mantis leaves for us. He left them both. All right, so the decision is, do we double stack with Herbert? Or do we take more of Tillman? I think we'll go ahead and get the big Q here. Y'all know I'm kind of in on him. I do feel good about him. I'm actually underweight him this year. I had a bunch of him last year, and he definitely helped win some money for me last year. If you look at how he performed with where he was being drafted, he was a great pick. Him and guys like Chuba Hubbard that were going late in drafts, and people were saying that, oh, Jonathan Brooks is coming in, and don't take Hubbard. He's gonna, he won't be the guy. He'll be out after the first 4 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever, and then it'll be, won't be his team anymore. Well, he laughed us all the way to the bank. So um, I liked Hubbard and where he went, and he was an absolute steal, and I got plenty of him last year. Unfortunately, I guess I'm not getting much of Chuba Hubbard this year with where he's going in drafts. I think he's going just a little bit too high. He's running back 19 off the board. But it is interesting. Last year, he had 1, 2, 3 top 5 finishes. And then he had in total, including those, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 top 10 finishes. So he had one heck of a year. He was the 15th ranked running back last year, which is his career high. My only issue with that is you're the 15th ranked tight end. You're being drafted as running back 19. If you have another great year, then you're basically paying off your value. But the upside with him, just from a talent perspective, I just don't think he's that good to go nuclear. So I just think there's better choices there that I think have higher ceilings. And I do think that Bryce Young's going to throw more now that he has Ted McMillan and a couple of other better weapons in the room. All right, Bryce Young goes. Speaking of him, at 162, we're one pick away. We do need some more running back help in this room. I think Eckler's a fine pick if he comes back around to us again. But Jalen Wright is my guy in this area. I talked about that. He is year 2 guy, showed flashes, put on a little bit of weight this year, is extremely fast. And they lost Raheem Mostert, who was on the team. So he was kind of blocking him a little bit and got some more touches. So I think there's going to be more touches available for him. And if for some reason Devon Achane goes out and Miami has another resurgence and as an offensive juggernaut, Jalen Wright could crush, right? And we're drafting this team as if we're correct. So. All right, coming back around. We still need more running backs. We could use some tight ends here. I think we're going to reach a little bit. Yeah, I think we will. I'm going to scroll on down just a smidge here, and I'm going to grab Mason Taylor at tight end. Our second tight end, he stacks up with Justin Fields, and I'm getting a good amount of him. When you get a rookie this late, feels like a good shot. There's some good news out of camp that he's looking really good, impressing them. That's just coach speak. It could just be a bunch of reporter crap. But you want to get excited about that. So far we have Justin Fields, Justin Herbert at quarterback, Saquon Barkley, Kenneth Walker, J.K. Dobbins, Jalen Wright at running back. Wide receiver, we have Ladd McConkey stacked up with Justin Herbert. Garrett Wilson stacked up with Justin Fields. Ted McMillan, Jordan Addison, Stephon Diggs, Brandon Ayuk, and Quentin Johnston. And he's also stacked up with Herbert. Dalton Kincaid and Mason Taylor at tight end. And Mason Taylor is stacked up as well as a double stack with Justin Fields. One thing to note, y'all know week 17 correlations are a thing because week 17 is, repeat after me, all that matters because we're trying to win $2 million and you have to crush in week 17. So you need all the upside you can get. So the Jets do play New England in week 17, and we have Stephon Diggs, who should be a high target earner. And if they have a better year and they're maybe trying to vie for a playoff spot, let's just say, Diggs could be going off, right? He could be the guy you need. And if we have a couple of these New York Jets pass catchers with Justin Fields, could be a good combination. Now, the Chargers play Houston in week 17, and I do not have anyone from Houston at the moment. But that could change coming up here because we're going to pick here in a few picks, and we do have some options here. And I think my man Nick Chubb might be the right pick. With Nick Chubb, I mean, just a great running back until the injuries plagued him, but he's another year removed from his injuries. He is an absolute gym rat. If you look online, you can go see his workout videos. It is crazy what this guy can do. I think he's motivated on a new offense, a new team. Houston should be a high-powered offense. We'll take him here. And, you know, if Joe Mixon is a little bit older, you know, if he has any kind of injury or he struggles a little bit, maybe there'll be a little more 50-50 to keep them both fresh. With where he's going, Nick Chubb could be great. Good goal line guy. So I'll definitely take him here, and he does week 17 correlate with the Chargers. So I feel great about this draft. This is the type of draft that can win you Best Ball Mania and win $2 million. That's where we're sitting. So now let's try not to screw this up. I think we're going to get a 6th running back, and I definitely think we're going to get a 3rd tight end. You know, we could grab – I think we'll just end up taking best available. We'll see how this goes. We've got a couple more picks to go. I think Dalton Schultz is an option here, another Houston bring back to our Chargers. You know, when you look at Dalton Schultz, he definitely will have a role, definitely as a pass catcher. I think he'd be a great selection here for us as our 3rd tight end. I think we'll definitely get points out of the tight end position with this trio of tight ends. And you only need to start one. Now, you can start 2 tight ends technically because you could use your flex as a tight end, but it's very unlikely that you're going to do that unless you have 2 much stronger, we'll call it premium tight ends. So we're definitely sitting good at wide receiver. I feel really good about getting enough points out of there, at least 3, if not 4 of these guys any given week. But, you know, if we do treat Saquon like he's the guy again this year, you know, we probably have enough points here to get our 2nd RB points every week between these 4. So it's kind of a tough choice. None of these quarterbacks really pair up with what we have at wide receiver. So I think we're going to be RB or wide receiver here, and it's just a matter of who we want to take a shot at. You know, do we want to stop at 5 running backs, or do we want to get another wide receiver? Y'all know I have taken a bunch of Anthony Richardson. Not afraid to take him on stack because of his legs. There is a little bit of risk of Justin Fields being benched. And so taking an unstacked quarterback here in round 18 isn't a terrible decision. But I'm kind of leaning towards grabbing a wide receiver instead. And there are some good options out here that I think, you know, could be good picks. I don't want to triple stack the Jets. I don't think their offense is that good. If there was a more powerful offense, maybe. All right, so we're on the board. So 10 seconds. I think we're going to go ahead and grab one more receiver. I'm just going to go Troy Franklin. So that will complete our team. We finish out with a 2-5-8-3 build. We have Justin Fields, Justin Herbert, a quarterback, Saquon Barkley, Kenneth Walker, J.K. Dobbins, Jalen Wright, Nick Chubb at running back. Lad McConkey, Garrett Wilson, Tet McMillan, Jordan Addison, Stephon Diggs, Brandon Ayuk, Quentin Johnston, Troy Franklin at wide receiver, and Dalton Kincaid, Mason Taylor, Dalton Schultz at tight end. Houston, a couple of players that go against the Chargers in Week 17 as a bringback. The Jets play New England, and we've got them double stacked with Garrett Wilson and Mason Taylor, and they go against New England, so there's a Week 17 bringback. So this is a really complete team. This is how you draft a team that can win you $2 million. It may not be your favorite, Week 17 matchups with the Jets and New England, or with Houston and the Chargers, but you got to take some chances. You can't just go all in. On one. I mean, I guess you could, but sometimes you just got to mix it up just a bit. So let's back out and get into one more tonight. Best Ball Mania draft. We have 71 more entries we can do in this tournament. After this, we'll be down to 70. And I believe that you'll probably see this week before the weekend, Underdog's probably going to drop another smaller dollar entry tournament. So if you're just getting in and you're going, hey, I don't have $25 to throw at a tournament, I do think that there's going to be other tournaments that you can get into. Normally there are $5, $3, $7, those types of tournaments that you can get into. And I think they'll release some because they know there's people out here that are saying, hey, I want to play, but I'm not throwing $25, at multiple contests, but I want to get in a lot of drafts. So throw me another puppy, throw me another Chihuahua, something like that. Oops, where am I at? What you see here in these active drafts are a bunch of slow drafts that I stumbled into. A couple of them were on accident, and then there was a Little Dalmatian draft, which the Little Dalmatian was a $1 entry tournament, and you could enter it 101 times. Then they had the regular Dalmatian where it was $101 buy-in, but you could only enter it 3 times. So interesting way they went about it. We get the 112 here. I've played with Fully Loaded before. He's a guy that I've definitely seen in drafts. So shout out to anybody who may be in our room. As a reminder, what we're doing, Underdog Fantasy, Best Ball Drafts. It's a great time if you love drafting. This is my favorite place to do it. I will draft on DraftKings and other places at times, but at the moment, I'm just focused on Underdog. And we'd love you to draft with us. Click on the link in the description below. You can jump in. If you hit the notification and subscribe to the channel, it'll let you know when I'm going live, usually 10 p.m. Central Time in the evenings. And you can jump on board with us and get in here, talk a little bit of fantasy football, talk life, talk wrestling, talk Ozzy Osbourne, talk whatever you want. And we'll just have a good time together. With the 112, this is where from earlier in the year to now, this is where this side of the draft board has seen the most change, at least in the first 2 rounds of what's shaken up. And the first half of drafts have been pretty much the same. So Jahmyr Gibbs goes at 3. That is unique. Definitely pulled him early. Gibbs has the talent on a good offense to be the best pick this year, and I think I need to get more of him than what I have now for my exposure, so I'll probably end up getting myself some more. McCaffrey goes at 7. Justin Jefferson at 5. That's not a normal thing, so that's a good pickup at 5. I've gotten him at 5, 6, and 7 before, but it's not that often. Neighbors goes. Y'all know I love Neighbors in the back of the draft, so if I could have got him here, I'd have felt great. All right, St. Brown goes. So we're going to do some crazy stuff here. We're going to get creative. We're going to try and put together a unique start. I'm going to go really crazy here. I'm going to go Derrick Henry and Achan. I do not, everything I've said in drafts before that you've heard me talk about this is that Derrick Henry, I've been getting him in picks 18 through 21 in the first half of the year. So I've been avoiding him in drafts. But I want to have some unique teams. And there's very few people that are going to have Derrick Henry and Devon Achan paired together on a team. And if we can dig out now, give me the proverbial shovel of the wide receiver avalanche, and we can get enough value in wide receiver, there will be very few teams that have those guys on the same team because they both normally go in the second round. So, we'll force a unique start here. This is where, if you value these players in the similar bucket, if you will, you're not really penalizing yourself by doing something like this. When you penalize yourself is when you have the 101 and you go grab Derrick Henry at the 101. That can be a little bit of a different way to do it, where you don't really want to do that, right? You want to take guys that are going to be unique, that most people aren't going to have, without sacrificing ADP value too much, if that makes sense. With Derrick Henry, we have to remember he is a 31-year-old running back. Will be 32 during the season. He is on a great offense. He's going to run a lot. But he's been healthy. Knock on wood, he stays healthy. I think he really wants to win a championship, similar to Saquon, and he's in a good offense, on a good team. And I think he's still hungry and motivated. So I do think he's going to eat. I do think he's going to get a lot of points. I tend to take a Derrick Henry in like a marathon or an eliminator type draft where you need all the points every week versus the bigger spike weeks that guys like Achan might give you. But this could be a fun draft. I'm kind of getting excited about what we did here. This could be a fun way to do it. But we know when we take two running backs here in the first two picks, we are automatically in that draft strategy called double hero RB. I avoid what's called robust or hyper fragile RB. So we will not be getting more running backs here. That's when you get three or more running backs early in drafts in top 5 rounds. And that's because you lose out on the wide receiver talent because it drops off a cliff, and you just can't afford to give that up because you got to start 3 wide receivers every week. And if you don't have that talent on your team, you're really in trouble. I'm hoping they leave a couple of great wide receiver options here. We will not take Rice still, given everything that's going on with him. I think Fully Loaded is going to take Terry and try and stack him up with Jaden Daniels. He didn't. Okay. Well, this is interesting. Terry hasn't even reported to camp yet, and training camp has started because he wants a new contract. But you know what? We're going to do it. This could be an absolute killer for us. This might really hurt our chances here when we don't take the wide receivers and we go with the quarterback. But you know what? I did say you got to have a little bit of fun. You got to get creative and you got to take chances. So let's see what happens. Let's see how this thing shakes out. There are some benefits to taking Jaden Daniels here, and that is we're pretty much guaranteed that we're going to only take 2 quarterbacks now because we have a elite quarterback early in the draft. So that allows us to take maybe one more shot at wide receiver later on in the draft. This may be a 9 wide receiver team, and I've done a couple of those. And if that's what you got to do, then hey, so be it. Because we're going to need to make up some points at wide receiver. So more shots, more chances to mix it up might be what we want to do. Tet goes at 44, DK at 45, Jameson Williams 46. I really do like the wide receivers that go in the third, fourth, and fifth rounds. I feel like there's going to be a league winner hidden inside of these 3 rounds. I really do. Jalen Hurts goes all the way at 47. That's pairs up with Barkley there. I'm kind of surprised a little bit, but you know what? Devontae Adams. Devonta Smith is not gone yet, unless I'm blind. So he may end up getting him paired with Hurts and Saquon, which would be really nice. And it looks like he will. That's exactly what he does. So nice job here. He's similar to us. He also has the same strategy as us, which is if you follow what he did, he also went running back at 1-2, got a wide receiver at 3, premium quarterback at 4, and now another wide receiver at 5. He did stack his wide receiver with a premium with his quarterback. So he and I are mirroring each other in strategy right now. We'll see. We'll do a little look through at the end and say, hey, would you rather, right? Would you rather have team 2 or team 12? All right, so what's coming around to us. We know we need receivers. There's no question about it. We need receivers. We're going to see what comes around. This may be one of those drafts where we got to take a guy like Juwan Jennings because we need talent. Could even do a double stack with Debo. All right, we're on the board. We're definitely going to get Olave here. And then it's kind of a matter of who do we want to go next. You know what? If we're going in on Washington, you know what? Let's do it. Let's grab Debo. We'll double stack it up with Jaden Daniels. And so we got Jaden Daniels, the quarterback, Derrick Henry, Devon Achane at running back, Terry McLaurin, and Debo at wide receiver that are double stacked with Jaden, and Chris Olave as well at wide receiver. Maybe Washington's the number 1 offense this year, and Terry gets his money. He's happy. Debo somehow finds a treadmill, loses weight before the season starts, because if you haven't figured it out or haven't heard, everybody's saying Debo came to camp and he's fat, or at least in the offseason was fat and overweight, and he's going to be slow. He's an athlete, and he's always been an athlete by nature, so I'm hoping that that's not really what ends up happening, but yeah, we're going to take that chance that Debo has still got some juice on what might be a year 2 of a really talented quarterback and a really good offense. And if Debo Samuel ever watches this channel and hears that I called him fat, I just want to say I apologize. But if you help us win $2 million because you crush it this year, and I will absolutely apologize. I will not be sharing $2 million with you, but I'm happy to buy you a meal or buy you a beer. We can do that. But in the off season, though, right? We need you to play during the season. Need you to stay healthy. All right. Mahomes goes at 73. These non-badge drafters, I've talked about this before. If you don't have a badge, it's okay. A non-badge drafter is someone who maybe has not done that many drafts, and they know a little bit about strategy. Maybe it's not perfect, and he's had a decent draft so far, but I know what he's doing. He's trying to pair Rice with Mahomes. He's got Pacheco. He likes to combo. There's nothing wrong with that, but there's going to be teams that can get those same players with Mahomes in round 8. And so he just doesn't believe Mahomes is going to come back to 96, and he might be right, and he forced it. And it's not necessarily bad, because if Mahomes is the guy, then it works out good, but it is still risky. Laporta goes good. He was tempting, but I think we've got to still keep digging out of this wide receiver hole, and I really, really like some of the receivers that are sitting here. I'm trying to figure out. He's not going to get past these two guys. Why Chris Godwin with ADP of 69 is sitting here at pick 82 right now. And he goes to fully loaded. See, I know fully loaded. I've drafted with him before. He's a smart drafter. We're going to go ahead and get Matthew Golden. And then we're going to go ahead and get Khalil Shakir. So that gives us now, we're up to 5 wide receivers on some pretty good offenses. We did double stack our Washington. We've got 2 anchor running backs and a elite quarterback. I think we've done a pretty good job so far of digging out of this wide receiver room. I still think this is going to be at least an 8 wide receiver build. And running backs, we're definitely going to stop at 5, but we'll keep punting some running backs because we won't need them. Whoops. Higgins goes. Michael Pittman goes. You know what? Now, this is a good time. I just want to pull up some numbers on Khalil Shakir. He did get a nice contract extension. They obviously like him. They trust him. He's the wide receiver 45 right now. He had 2 top 10 finishes in fantasy points last year. 2 games where he finished in the top 10. His snap percentage wasn't great all year. He had no more than 78% in any given week, and he averaged, more in the 60s and 50s range, which means he wasn't on the field as much as I thought he would be. But that is his career high. Snap percentage of 61% was the average. And he did finish as a 37th ranked wide receiver. But on that offense in Buffalo, you would like to see him produce a little bit more for where he's going to be drafted as the wide receiver 45. For perspective, Jacoby Myers is going just after him. Typically, he had 3 top 10 finishes last year. He was ranked 19th in the league as a receiver, and he did miss a couple games in there, and his snap percentage is 93. So realistically, Jacoby Myers is the better pick there, and he's going usually after Shakir in drafts. So that's probably a better guy to get, but I like the offense of Buffalo better. And, I'm hoping and I'm playing it like Shakir's going to get a little bit more action this year. Which, am I missing something? Where did Jacoby Myers go? Oh, he went way up here at 71. Wow. He went a lot earlier. He's really moving up the board here. All right, the draft is coming back around to us. We want to continue to look at guys who we like here. We definitely could use some more receivers. But there is a running back that I'm smashing when he gets down this far. And that's Jaylen Warren. So if he makes it here, we may just get Jaylen Warren anyway. And then we could go down here and maybe get a guy like Luther Burden. I don't want to go too far down because there are some guys I like later on in the drafts. And we could get a tight end potentially. So we'll definitely get Jaylen Warren as our 3rd running back. Love that pick. That makes my room feel really, really good. And then we'll take Luther Burden. He did sign 4 days ago his fully guaranteed rookie deal. He's on an offense that's going to probably get better. They obviously drafted him high draft capital. Guy. I don't believe DJ Moore is their long-term plans, just me personally. So to me, that means Luther Burden. What if DJ Moore gets traded before the trade deadline because Luther Burden's that good and Rome is that good and their new tight end is that good? I don't know. Burden might be a great guy and a great pick where he's going. So we'll take a shot on a team like this where we do need some wide receiver help to make up for the fact that we went double running back and an elite quarterback early on. And y'all know I love Jaylen Warren, especially where he goes here. The fact that he fell to us at 108 just makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. While we're waiting on the draft board to come around, let me pull up a little bit of stats for Jaylen Warren to kind of talk about. When you look at him last year, Najee since Najee was in Pittsburgh, he was the dominant guy from a snap share percentage. He started the first half of the year looking at a 31%, 48%, 38%, 51%, 41%. I mean, his snap share was under 50%. Later on in the year, from the back half of the year, he continued to climb. He had 45%, 36, 57, 35, 54, 53, 66, 53. He definitely had a higher snap percentage. And in the games where he was getting higher snap percentages, he did finish as the RB11, the RB9 in a couple weeks. So he doubled his performance, and we know he's got some juice. He's shown us that. So he finished the year with a snap percentage of 45%. I personally believe he's going to get first crack at having the rock over Caleb Johnson, the rookie. And so, let's just say he gets the 65% snap share or 60%. Maybe they do 60-40 by the time the year's over. If he's efficient, and we've seen him get top 10 finishes regularly with that kind of snap share. He showed flashes of that last year. Then where he's going in drafts, a top 10 running back in round 9, it's pretty nice, especially when you consider he's our RB3. That's a great pick. And if he goes beyond that snap share, it's even better. All right. Turning around on round 11, Najee Harris goes, Marvin Mims goes, CJ Stroud goes off the board. Let's take a look at that guy. We talked about round 2, who's following our same path here. He did get Myers. He got Jalen Reed. He's trying to dig out of that wide receiver hole. He did end up getting a couple tight ends. So we have punted tight end on our team where he did get a couple. So kind of interesting what he's doing there. We'll look at his team here a little bit later. All right. I definitely see one thing I want to do here if it gets there. I think we have to pass Shirk 74 if it's going to happen. But I can see the perfect move if it plays out the way I'm hoping it will. And it might be one of the sickest drafts ever if it works out. All right, it almost worked out exactly. We're going to get Jordan Love here as our second quarterback, pairs up with Matthew Golden. I wanted to go back-to-back at Love and Kraft and get a double stack there, but that's okay. We'll keep it rolling. I do think I'd like to get our first tight end share here. I will grab I'll just grab the rookie, Loveland. I don't have much of him. It kind of falls in our lap there. I've broken up. I've gotten a lot of Kincaid. Y'all know that. I've got a little bit of Goddard. I've gotten a good amount of Likely. So I like the idea of mixing it up a little bit. And I'm so low on Loveland that I don't have a problem grabbing him here where he goes on offense. It should be a little bit better. So far, at quarterback, we have Jaden Daniels and Jordan Love. At running back, we have Derrick Henry, Devon Achane, Jaylen Warren. At wide receiver, we have Terry McLaurin, Chris Olave, Deebo Samuel, Matthew Golden, Khalil Shakir, Luther Burden. At tight end, we have Colston Loveland. We do have Matthew Golden paired up with Jordan Love. And then we have Debo Samuel and Terry McLaurin double stacked with Jaden Daniels. So feels pretty good. Feels pretty good. We'll see how we play out the rest of this draft. It'll be good to finish it correctly and cleanly. If you're just getting in, just one more reminder. I would really appreciate it if y'all would shoot a like down there for if I'm helping at all, or just you're entertained, or I'm just here helping you pass the time, or maybe you just want to bless me with a like. It would be much appreciated. And then subscribe, hit the notification bell. We do go live, 10 p.m. or so Central Time to midnight. Drafting right here in Underdog. You can join with us. There's a link in my description below. And would love to have you on here. Come chat with us, talk about whatever's on your mind, ask questions. I'm happy to give any advice that I can. We want to keep this train moving of successful years. I've been very successful the last few years and just want to keep it growing. I kind of think someone asked me if I'm doing these now because this is the first year I've really started streaming my drafts. And someone asked me if they think that's going to help the way I draft or hurt, because last year I drafted 95% of my teams on my phone. And I think when you're on your phone, you get a little distracted. You make some bad picks. I don't know. I think because I'm streaming here and talking about drafting correctly and trying to draft great teams, I think I'm going to draft more, ideal teams and not get, out of whack, so to speak, because I'm streaming it and I'm trying to help people. So maybe it'll be even better because the stream's going to force me to stay on my A game. All right, it's coming back around. There's definitely guys that I like here. I really would love to see Tillman get back to us. Would be an ideal scenario here. But I can see these two badge drafters needing a wide receiver, and I think that Fully Loaded continues to not surprise me with having a really good head on his shoulders and picking guys that he knows might be pretty good. He goes Trey Benson. I like Trey Benson. So we are going to get Tillman. That makes me extremely happy here. I feel really good about it. And then we could get another running back. I don't have a problem with it. We're going to grab the pass catching Austin Eckler. So it's kind of a triple stack now with Jaden Daniels, which it's okay because we're not really necessarily counting on him per se when we have guys like Derrick Henry and Achane on the team. But if he has some splash weeks that he does well or plays well in the fantasy football playoffs or has an injury, he correlates well, and he could end up in our flex even. So, and when we're trying to dig out a wide receiver, it feels kind of nice. So as we scroll down here, we've got 4 more picks to go in this draft. We are done at quarterback. We're definitely going to get 2 more tight ends. We could stop at 4 running backs if we really, really wanted to. When we have the talent that we have, I'll probably get 1 more. But it just depends on what we want to do at wide receiver. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Definitely going to get 1 more. Might want to go to 9. And I guess technically I could stop at 2 tight ends if I really wanted to, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Maybe if my belief in Jaylen Warren being as good as he is might tell me that I should just stop at 4 running backs and go with that hyper fragile concept that I said that I don't like strategy wise. Let's see here. I know one guy I want to get later on in this draft, like as a round 18 wide receiver, is Jalen Tolbert in Dallas, strictly because I want to have a Dallas player for my bring back here. And For week 17 bring back. So I threw him in there. I'm not going to get him now because he's going to be getting much later in the draft. I think what we'll probably do here is get another tight end, and we could get crazy and get Miles Sanders here as our 5th running back. It's not a crazy idea. Allen goes. We could get Zach Ertz, honestly, and do just a monster Washington push, but that might be a little bit too much. Oh, it's so tempting, though. So tempting. What do we do? The Washington onslaught? I think we do it. He's still here. We're really in on Washington. We are screaming, hey, this is the team. So I think I'll go ahead and take a shot on Miles Sanders, and we'll be done now at running back. We're really, really in on Washington when we go Zach Ertz, Debo, Terry, and Austin Eckler. But, if this was not a high-powered offense or projected to be a top 5 offense in the league this year with huge spike week potential, you don't want to go all in on that. It's like if we're talking about, I'm going to say the Cleveland Browns. I don't want more than 1 or 2 pass catchers or players on the Cleveland Browns to stack because I don't even know who their quarterback's going to be. You get 4 or 5 guys on Cleveland's offense. They're going to probably be a bottom offense, bottom 10 offense in the league. You don't do that with those guys, but, you can get away with it with, the Bengals. You can get away with it on Washington. You can get away with it with Buffalo or Baltimore and things like that. So we do need to grab 2 more players. We're definitely going to get Tolbert as one of the wide receivers. If we get Tolbert, do we think we have enough at wide receiver? Every week we're hoping we're getting one of these Washington guys. There's definitely a lot of risk here. We may have to just say, hey, this is all we got at tight end and grab 2 wide receivers. I'm just not sure we dug enough out at wide receiver, and we might need to take another shot and just stick with the 2 tight ends. It's a risky call, but you know what? I always say you got to take some chances, right? All right, let's queue up some wide receivers that we think we can grab other than Lockett. We know other than Tolbert. We could get a double stack with Jordan Love. That might be nice. I think we might do that if he's still there. Yeah, we might do that. Get the value, get another Green Bay player. Green Bay does play Baltimore in week 17, so we already have a bring back for Green Bay if that's the game we needed. So that doesn't feel too bad. I think that's probably what we're going to do. What tight ends are still left? Yeah, see, these tight ends, you're taking them. I don't feel great about them. Don't hate them. Don't love them. But none of them correlate with our team. None of them are bringbacks. So I think we're just going to go ahead and go all in on these receivers and finish our draft with a 2-5-9-2 build. We go with Jaden Daniels, Jordan Love at quarterback. At running back, we have Derrick Henry, Devon Achane, Jaylen Warren, Austin Eckler, Miles Sanders. At wide receiver, we have Terry McLaurin, Chris Olave, Debo Samuel, Matthew Golden, Khalil Shakir, Luther Burden, Cedric Tillman, Jalen Tolbert, and Devontavian Wicks. Wow, I said that wrong. Dontavian Wicks. My bad. And then at tight end, Colson Loveland and Zach Ertz. With our stacks here, we did do a monster stack with Jaden Daniels. When we go Austin Eckler, Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, and Zach Ertz. The bring back for that game is Dallas. And we do have 2 Dallas players. We have Miles Sanders and Jalen Tolbert for week 17. And then Jordan Love does pair up with Matthew Golden and Dontavian Wicks. So, and their bring back, Green Bay plays Baltimore, and we have Derrick Henry. So, if week 17, we have our week 17 matchup options. We have, I actually really enjoy this team, the way it shook out. I think we definitely recovered at wide receiver. Let's hope Fat Debo is slimming down in training camp, so he's ready for the regular season. This could be a fun team that wins us $2 million. So, Ozzy, my man, I hope that this stream, rest in peace, did you well. If we pull $2 million out of this, that would be absolutely disgusting. Thank you again for anybody who was watching or will watch this video. I'm very grateful for any support you can offer the channel. I don't do this for money. I do this because I love drafting fantasy football teams. And on Underdog, we can draft hundreds. I'm going to draft over 700 this year. And, I'm hoping to make some money by doing this from fantasy football. And hopefully I can help you do the same. We're rolling into Wednesday tomorrow. I hope everybody has a fantastic Wednesday. Looking to see everybody tomorrow night. And thanks again for being with us. And we'll talk to you tomorrow.